If you're watching this video, it's probably because you signed up to learn how you can get admitted to a Chinese university with scholarship funding. And you're probably wondering whether Dream Admissions is actually legitimate or just another agency that's going to take your money and disappear. Fair question. I'm going to answer that in the next 15 minutes. But before we go any further, let me be clear about who this video is for and who it's not for. This is for you if you're serious about studying in China in the next intake, not thinking about it, actually ready to take the next step. You've applied before and either got rejected or ghosted, or perhaps you're just paralyzed with confusion and don't know where to start. You need scholarship funding because without it, studying abroad isn't even possible. And you're tired of guessing, tired of unreliable agents, and you just need somebody that's knowledgeable about the process, that's actually going to guide you without just running around. And this is not for you if you're just browsing options and you're not ready to commit to anything. And if you think you can figure this out on your own just by Googling university rankings and making random applications. Or you're looking for the cheapest possible options and don't actually care about results. If that's you, then close this video now. I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine either. Still here? Okay, good. I'm Luntalove Mochilalire, a co-founder of Dream Admissions. And I've been through this system myself. I tried to apply to a university here in Nanjing, which was this one, NUA, and I wasn't accepted, so I know what works and what doesn't. You see, over the last 36 months, our team has built partnerships with 87 universities across China to create a placement system that's helped dozens of students get admissions to top-ranked university with scholarship funding within an average of 21 days from the application date. I'm going to show you now exactly how this is possible. So, why do most students fail when they try this on their own? And what could you do differently to guarantee your success? So here's the reality that most students don't actually know. See, getting into a Chinese university isn't hard. What's hard is getting into the right university with the right scholarship without wasting a year of your life or hundreds of dollars making applications that weren't going to work in the first place anyways. And we've seen this happen over and over again. When students come to us after they've failed maybe once, even twice sometimes, and we ask them what went wrong, they'll say the same three things over and over again. Number one, I've applied to 3-4 universities and never heard back from them. See, this happens either because one was underqualified or overqualified. And most students don't even get to know which is which. They make their applications based off Google searches and just random university rankings. Universities don't reject you out of cruelty. They will usually just ghost you because you don't fit their eligibility criteria. And they're already receiving thousands of applications in the first place. It's difficult to reach back to every single one of you. Number two, which might be the harshest, I worked with some agency and they ghosted me after I paid them. This is actually one of the most common ones. Students pay agencies over $1,000, sometimes even $2,000, just for the agency to make random applications without no strategic placement. And once the student gets rejected, they go ahead and say, well, your application failed, try again in the next intake. And just like that, the money is gone. But perhaps the worst thing isn't actually losing the money. Perhaps the worst thing is losing that year that you have to wait for the next intake. Number three, I got admitted but didn't get a scholarship, so I can't afford to go. This is the worst one because the student did everything right. They were eligible, they got in. But what they didn't know is that scholarships are allocated by quotas. Now, by the time they were applying for a university that had already filled the quota for students from their country, and even though they were qualified, the funding was already gone. And here's what nobody's going to tell you. All these three problems root from one cause, and that is information asymmetry. You don't know which universities are accepting students with your student profile right now. You don't know which universities have filled up their scholarship quotas. You don't know what are the requirements beyond the generic information that's listed on the website. Now, so because you don't know, you're guessing. And if you guess, you lose. Now, that's not your fault, but it is the reality. So how do you fix this? That's where Dream Admissions comes in. Think about it. Before you got here, we have already collected your information to figure out your eligibility and which universities will accept students with your profile according to the major that you want to study and according to your budget as well. So, we're not the traditional agency. We don't just collect your documents and submit them to random university and hope something sticks. We have a university placement system, and here's what that means. We've built partnerships with 87 universities across China. At the production of this video, by the way, not we know someone or we know someone who knows someone, but actual partnership, actual relationships with the admissions boards of the universities. That means we know in real time which universities are accepting students with your GPA, which universities are accepting students from your country of origin, which scholarship quotas are still open, as well as which specific programs are under-enrolled and actively looking for more international students. Most importantly, we know which universities not to apply to. So when a student comes to us, we don't just guess. We already know which universities they're qualified for to get an admission as well as scholarship funding. That's why you take the eligibility test in the first place. That's why we guarantee results within 21 days. Not because we're faster at filling out forms, but because we're placing you where you're already wanted. And since launching this system, we've maintained 100% placement rate. Every student that we've accepted into our process has gotten admission with scholarship funding. Not some of them, not most of them, I mean every student. Students from Zambia, Kenya, Malawi, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, and beyond. Students studying engineering, IT, medicine, business, international trade, any major you can think of. Some got full scholarships, others got 50 to 70% scholarships, but all of them got in, and all of them knew where they stood within 3 weeks of applying. See, that's the difference between guessing and placing. So most agencies are just guessing and not placing. And here's what most students don't know about, well, the typical agencies. Most agencies don't have access to this information. They're just middlemen. They don't have a relationship with admission boards. They don't know the scholarship quotas, and they don't know the eligibility criteria for the program that you're looking for. They take your documents and submit them to the public portal that you could have accessed yourself and made a self-application for. The difference is they're charging you for it. So here's what happens when you apply on your own or with a typical agency. You spend weeks researching universities. You submit your documents, you apply to, say, 3 to 5 universities based on ranking or location. You fill out applications, you pay application fees, you do everything, then you wait. 2 months, 3 months, sometimes 6 months. And either you get rejected or ghosted. And now you've wasted an intake cycle, which means you're waiting another year to try again. See, that's the trap. And the only way you get out is if you work with someone who has access to the information that you don't have. So let me walk you through exactly how our process works. Step 1, matching. So when you work with Dream Admissions, the first thing we do is assess your profile. We're looking at your GPA, we're looking at your country of origin, your program interest. I mean, you already filled it up in the eligibility criteria. And we don't just stop here. We go as far as to have a personal call with one of our admission advisors to get the most information from you to understand what exactly you're looking for, as well as exactly how we can assist you to get the best placement that you could possibly get based on your desired outcome. Then once we've fully defined your student profile, we match you with 3 to 5 universities where you're not just eligible, but you're also competitive, which is what guarantees you an admission and scholarship funding. We don't just apply to schools and hope one works. We apply to schools that are right for you and where success is predictable. Step 2, Application submission. Once we have identified your matches, we handle the full application. That means preparing your documents, collecting the documents, ensuring that they meet university's requirements, and then finally submitting them directly to the admissions offices we work with. And because we have direct relationships with these universities, your application doesn't just sit in the queue with 500 other applicants. It gets reviewed with priority. Step 3. Admission and scholarship, all within 21 days. Within 3 weeks of submission, you have your admission and scholarship offer. And if there's an issue with your documents, let's say you scanned your passport incorrectly or your medical report is missing a signature, we don't just reject you. Our team contacts you and tells you exactly what's wrong and allows you to resubmit, even a third time if necessary. Because we don't succeed unless you get in. Step 4. Visa documentation. Once you get in, we handle your JW-202 form, which is the document that you need to apply for a visa as a student at the Chinese embassy. This part is purely procedural. As long as you submit the required documents, it's guaranteed. Step 5. Pre-departure support. After you get admitted and you have everything, we don't just disappear. We're there to guide you to get in contact with your university, as well as help you through the transition. We go as far as picking you up from the airport when you've arrived in China. That's the full process. We guide you from start to finish. Here's what you're probably wondering. What does a premium service like this cost? And I'm going to be completely transparent with you. But before I tell you the price, let me frame this correctly. If you were to apply to a Chinese university with the traditional agency, then you'd pay anywhere between $1,300 to $2,000, depending on the agency. And most of them don't guarantee results. They just promise to submit your application. If you tried to do this on your own, you'd spend anywhere between $300 to $600 on application fees, as well as weeks in research to find out all the documents required and to check whether those documents actually meet the standard. And the worst part about that is, if your documents are incorrect and do not meet standards, you have no opportunity to resubmit, and therefore you have to wait for another intake. You have to wait for another year. And if you failed and had to wait another year, what would that cost you? Not just money, but time. A full year of your life. Delayed career opportunities, delayed income, delayed everything. So let's talk about how much you actually invest in the dream admissions process. For the 2026 intake, we're offering an early bird price. This is a drop from our $1,250 service fee. The total investment is $1,197. That includes everything, including application processing for 3 universities, scholarship placement, admission guarantee, visa support, as well as the one-on-one guidance that you will receive from your admission advisor from the start to the finish of this process. These guys will help you throughout the process to allow you to be able to resubmit your documents, and they'll act as the bridge between you and the admission boards. That way we guarantee you the admission as well as a scholarship. Now, I know that may sound like a lot, but let me break it down. First, the application fees. $300 of that goes directly to the universities in application fees. That's not something we keep, it's just a pass-through cost. Second, the service fee. The remaining $897 covers our team's work, matching you to the right universities, securing you the admission and scholarship, the constant communication in document quality, as well as the visa documentation and support. This is a drop from our $1,250 service fee that we had initially because we wanted to make this more accessible. Having talked to several African students, we had been told that this price point was too high. So now we decided to only give serious people the chance to have access to this premium service at this more affordable investment cost. I want to stress that it is for a limited time. we will go back to the original price point of $1,250. And because we want to make this more accessible, we're giving you two ways to pay. Option one is to pay everything upfront. So that is the service fee as well as the application fees, the total $1,197. Option two is to pay $497 of the service fee along with the application fee upfront, coming up to $797 upfront, then $400 after you receive your admission and scholarship offer, but before we can release your JW 202. So now, just a reminder, this early bird price of $1,197 is not going to last forever. So if you're watching this video and you're serious about the 2026 intake to study in China, this is your window. And just to be clear, this is not a sales gimmick. We're only taking a limited number of students for this 2026 intake because we prioritize quality placement rather than volume. That is to say, we have a limited number of seats. Once slots are filled, we close enrollment until the next cycle. So, the question isn't whether you can afford the $1,197. The question is whether you can afford to waste another year trying to do this on your own or working with a typical agency that doesn't have access to the network and the information that we do. So here's what happens next. If you're serious about studying in China this next 2026 intake, your next step is to book a free strategy session with one of our admissions advisors to figure out how you can get started. Now here's a tutorial on how you can do just that.
So as you see on the home page, once you scroll down, you'll find the step that says next, book your free call. This is for people that have created an account with the Dream Admissions app and are logged in. So now you go and schedule my call, and it's going to ask, have you watched the video guide and are you clear on all service requirements? And that is this video that you're currently watching, so you will say yes. And will your parents be joining us for the meeting? Well, we prefer if your parents are there because most times they're, I guess, the ones that can make the final decision, considering that you will be needing sponsoring for this. Now, in order not to waste your time and ours, and in order to have a serious level of commitment, as well as to have everything in check and make sure we're all on the same page, it's important that your parents join us in the meeting. Now, you can still take this meeting without your parents if you're confident that you can make the decision on your own, but it's much preferred if they're there with us. So if you click no, it'll say for comprehensive planning decisions, we strongly recommend having your parents and guardians join this session, but you can still proceed to book. However, we prefer if it's a yes, your parents will be available. Now you proceed to booking, and you can book with any of these people here. So I will book with Lovemore Chilaliri, and there's times where you can select from in terms of, your comfortability. So all right, let's go with Lovemore Chilaliri and say I want to have it at 7 p.m. and continue. Now from here you will receive a Google Meeting link. So these will be taken on Google. These meetings will be taken on Google. Yeah, and just like that, you're good to go. And as you can see right there, we have the yes, and as you can see right there, we have the booking confirmation and Google link for the click here. Voila. See you on the other side.